Good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing today? Doing well. I actually saw some sun today on my way in for a brief moment. So hopefully everybody's maintaining. It looks like, you know, the counties to the west have gotten hit with snow. I saw some friends up in Eau Claire that actually had a little bit of a snow day today. So the white stuff is upon us, but looks like Lake Michigan's doing its job and keeping it away for a little bit. But thankfully we have Eric and the wonderful maintenance team that will make sure our parking lots and sidewalks stay clear if and when that snow decides to come. Well, I am excited to have a lot on the agenda today. And again, I just want to say quickly before I forget, just truly appreciate everybody's warm comments and prayers and thoughts as we welcomed Henry to join us this earlier in November. He's already 6 weeks old, but I don't think I've had a chance to get in front of everyone to say thank you. So I really appreciate all those thoughts. Everybody's doing well. Stephanie's at home with Henry. Hunter's figuring out how to be a big brother. Some moments are better than others, but overall he does enjoy Henny, as he calls him, because can't quite get the R out. So Henny is the nickname we're going with right now. But no, truly appreciate everybody's thoughts and prayers and support as we welcome the little guy. So, all right, with that, I'm going to welcome up Kathy Johnson, who is your resident council president. You also know that there's a little bit different order. Usually I do wrap up the State of the Castle. I do have to run because of little Henny. So I'll be ducking out after, but I will be available and back in the office tomorrow. And then Lindsay will be here to wrap up things. Actually, Mike will be. So who knows how long you're going to be here, as Mike will be wrapping you up. So feel free. You know, if it's that time. I know Mike has talked to less people, but if there's nobody in here, he then does have to stop talking. So just exit. No, I'm just kidding, Mike. All right, Kathy, take it away.
You bet. Wearing my East Castle t-shirt. Yay! Okay. Gosh, golly, yes. A lot we just had our council meeting this morning. Lots of news from there to appraise you of. First of all, many thanks to Pat Crump dealing with the art. And she is just doing a bang-up job getting the art in this place that has been hanging around for decades. Getting it all in order and picking out the best and working on getting you to be able to have stuff
January
that you like.
Will be the time of hanging.
Whoa. January will be the hanging time. Great. Communications Committee, what you're going to be hearing about in January is that resident handbook that I know that you all keep very handy right next to your bed or on a table in the kitchen, whatever, to refer to oftentimes. Many of you probably don't even know what I'm talking about, but they are redoing the resident handbook that has all of that little pieces of information that tell you how to get a hold of so-and-so and how do I get my light bulbs changed and that kind of stuff. They're redoing that and it's expected in January. Brand new, nice looking resident handbook that will be usable. Let's see, community wellness. I wanted to point out again that Dr. Mark Aberhage, who works in the units, he's a psychologist, and that's a regulatory thing, that the units have to have a psychological person. But for independent living, Dr. Aberhage, number one, will be coming to speak with us January 31st about healthy aging. So you'll be hearing more about that, and that he is also available if you have a need to, you're feeling a little low or you're concerned about how you're feeling. He's available. He'll come to your apartment if you make an appointment with him, and I'm going to be sending out a little flyer to you about that, to give you that information. So that's coming up. Environmental Committee, Marion Frowley has been leading that and doing a bang-up job every spring with the Earth Week stuff. So much information. but she is not feeling up to doing that anymore. So I am looking for those of you who might have an interest in how do we make this environment around us? How do we keep an eye on how things are going in terms of, are we being conscious of what we use, what we dispose of? Are there air leaks? We had noticed through the doors here, cold air coming in. Are there things that we as citizens of our community environmentally could we look at in terms of making improvements? So I'm looking for people who might be interested in that, and if you are, let me know so that we can get into that. Let's see, the Lifestyle Committee. Are you doing a report today, Stacy? Is Stacy here?
She's here.
Oh,
She
okay.
can, but she's not on the agenda.
Okay, then I won't be stealing her thunder. Lots of stuff coming up. Number one, of course, the holidays. Look at what's going on for Christmas. That committee we've set up with Stacy having a New Year's Eve party, a New Year's Eve party with music and a bar and a nice meal. So the dropping of the ball. So look forward to information on that. Also, January, we are looking at January as an at-home January. We're looking on a spaghetti day. There will be a spaghetti sauce contest. Staff and residents will be able to participate in that. If you have a really, really wonderful spaghetti sauce, pasta sauce, you'll want to be an entrant in that. And Michael Sandel's Justice Course. Some of you had participated in that in the past year, and that is going to be restarting January 9. And will be, I think, we'll get done what we can in the 6 Mondays between January, February. And again, we're going to start over at Lecture 1 and go through to Lecture 6, and we will have, after the lecture, then gather in a circle and have discussion. So I know some of you have been looking forward to that. Let's see. I am for that spaghetti day. We also thought a wine tasting would be really nice. Now, I don't know anything about wine tastings, so if anybody has information, Tyler, I don't know if you do, about
First time here.
about where we could find out a place that might help us out with a wine tasting, call me, please, or email me. Because we thought it would be real fun to have Italian wines along with the Italian dinner. I thought that would be a good job, a good thing to do.
The Italian dinner spaghetti feed is a lunch event.
It's a lunch event, that's right.
And the staff will not be cooking, the staff will be judging.
Ah, wonderful. And we'll have gluten-free and regular pasta, salad, some other stuff to go along with dinner or the lunch. It'll be a lot of fun. Let's see, there was one more thing and I don't remember what it is. So I guess, the council elections for people who are stepping off of the council will be in April. And I know this sounds early, but there is a process to go for getting nominations. I know Libby is very familiar, and Betty has been on the council in the past. Carolyn was on the council. So I want you to be aware that if you will not be here, if you are snowbirds and won't be here in April to participate in the election for council members, that you can do it by absentee ballot. Email, whatever. We just need to know where to send you a ballot. So right now, if you know you're going to be gone, you can just contact me and I'll make sure that you get a ballot if you're not going to be here in April. Okay? Great. Well, thank you all. I want to commend all of the people that are on committees people who chair the committees, a lot of work going on, and happy to be involved with it. Thanks. And we have now Tyler.
Yep, and back to me. All right. Watch your step there, Kathy. Well, thank you. That's why we come to the State of the Castle to learn, right? All those events. So the wine tasting will work on Kathy. I know we had talked about maybe a pairing event in February. So, but the wine Italian tasting, I know we have a couple wine connoisseurs, so we might be able to help out with some wine Italian style. So. With that, I have a construction and renovation update, and I just want to start by saying thank you. And I appreciate the, understanding you've had. Obviously, the construction project has impacted you. It's impacted how you live and where you're able to go, and things of that nature. So. I know that the main dining room is beautiful, and that Majarka and the team are knocking it out of the park there. Obviously, the courtyard is one of the questions I have that I will address here, but it's an exciting time right now because the north side of the Commons area, which is your front door, is completely demolished. But C.G. Schmidt was able to basically do that in 1 week, which is pretty incredible. So now you'll start seeing the construction components put back together. The hope is that we'll be turning that space back over to you in early April. So again, there is a construction update tomorrow, so do feel free to stop by. CG Schmidt will be able to provide maybe a few more details on the actual construction, and also they'll be able to show you some pretty neat pictures, I'm sure. But again, I know that this is your home. I know that construction or renovation, if you've ever done it in your own home, is never too much fun. But I hope that we can continue to keep our eye on that prize, so to speak, of some really, really nice spaces that hopefully you felt you've had an impact on. As far as the couple impact areas, I want to mention the mailroom. So as you know, the mailroom is getting renovated. We have to add some mailboxes for our new neighbors. But we also know that you need mail, and it turns out Gary does not want to go door to door to deliver to you personally. So the mailroom is going to be closed from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. next week, Monday through Friday. It will be back open beginning at 11 a.m. until 7 a.m. the next day, so that Gary can deliver his mail as well as you can pick your mail up. So, I apologize for some inconvenience there. We did talk with Gary. He does not get here before 11 o'clock, so that's why we picked the times. And again, I don't know if it'll be the full week, but wanted to just kind of make sure we all knew that it might be the full week. But again, some demolition that has to go on in there, as well as some reconstruction. So, be on the lookout for that. We will have signage as well as in the memo today as well that you'll be receiving. So now some resident questions regarding the construction. Any target date for the completion of the ramp? And so again, I will have a better idea of that, as well as Jordan might be able to share a better update, or actually Pete will be sharing an update tomorrow. But really what has to happen is that first floor of the historic building does have to come offline for a little bit because there's some flooring and things of that nature. The ramp itself will most likely be completed in the next month, with the exterior as well as the interior. But then we have to punch a hole through the wall, and that's where it gets a little interesting and how we're going to do that. So look for that probably, hopefully, in early February for that to be completed, but I don't want to speak out of turn, so I'll let Pete update that, and then I'll circle back in a later memo. Will the Creativity Center be remodeled at the same time? So the Creativity Center is actually was set to be taken offline here in this phase of the project. They were going to take the Creativity Center library with the water tower, and I said that's not going to work for us because we need spaces. I need somewhere where we can have a makeshift fitness center. Also, we need some meeting spaces and things of that nature, and so that's why the Creativity Center is not being done at this time. It is scheduled to be done. It will come offline. Structurally, there's not too much. It's all brand new cabinetry and different floor layout that's going to be in there to hopefully better utilize that space. So yes, it will be a full remodel along with the first floor that's getting a full remodel. So that's ground floor of historic. Eric's offices and things of that nature don't get too touched, but everything, basically, if you're walking towards the water tower building, will get brand new finishes for that space, which will then lead right into the ramp. And then, is the rumor true that there's more concrete in the courtyard than was planned? And so, again, I talked to Jordan this morning about that a little bit. Again, the plantings and things of that nature aren't going to be done till spring, and so nothing that is done has to be permanent. The plan did change slightly. I think I might have mentioned it months ago. The retaining wall had to be pushed out 6 feet. And so basically all of that 6 foot land, as I'll call it, is now on the upper. So our planting plan that KEI put together is basically, instead of having it on the lower level, it's now on the upper level. There is still space on the lower level for some plantings that we as East Castle Place will be taking care of. There's also some added gardening boxes that aren't shown on the plans that I'll be working closely with the garden committee on. And as well as just some other features that we're adding into the courtyard area. So the concrete, I guess it's a catch-22 a little bit. The concrete was poured to plan. It's just that I think there was maybe a lower level that should have been opened up a little bit more than an upper level. So again, we'll continue to work through that. We have spring is really when we need to make sure that plan is fully sufficient. KEI updated the plan, and I'll be getting back together with the garden committee in early January to review that plan and to review some of the changes to that plan. This is Cal.
I have that plan, so I'm having hand surgery, left hand surgery tomorrow. I'm gonna try to draw crude elevation of it to see what that would work with the fence, so people maybe can see what the color is and stuff like that. Vertical level instead of horizontal level.
Okay.
So whenever I get it done.
All right. Well, Mrs. Koff is trying to make it more visual for everybody. But again, we'll be re-looking at that plan come early January. I've already talked to CG Schmidt. There was another piece that we didn't quite get on the plans that we'll be adding to as well in the springtime in the courtyard. So more to come. And then where will all the plantings be, including types of trees? Again, there will be trees. They are planned for in those small holes. There is conduit for irrigation within the courtyard, so that for the plantings and things of that nature that are more East Castle Place driven, we'll be able to maintain those. Obviously, the residents also have a lot of spaces that they'll be taking care of, so making sure we have the proper amount of spigots. We also do have some uplighting and electrical planned for that, so that in the evening you'll see some uplighting on the trees that will be planted. So again, much more to come there, but yes, that is where the trees are tentatively planned. Any questions regarding the construction? I know it's a lot of information. The big milestones that you'll see in your memo today is that obviously the north side of the common areas is now taken down, as well as the water tower building is now completely CG Schmidt's. I also asked that in the event that somehow you're curious and you're able to get into the water tower building, please don't. That is a secured construction zone. There is a lot of materials going in and out, and there's going to be some very large machinery coming on site in the new year as we're adding balconies to the exterior of that building. So again, your safety is priority. So please just be a part of that safe plan. And again, if you do see something unsafe, let me know, let the front desk know immediately. We can let CG Schmidt know. Again, CG Schmidt has an impeccable safety record, and they plan for that to continue with our project. So again, appreciate everybody's support in there. Judy.
What is the outside of that ramp going to look like eventually?
Good question. The question was, what is the outside of that ramp going to look like? If I can find an elevation, I will share that either at the next State of the Castle, or I'll see if CG Schmidt can pull up an elevation of that, what the exterior looks like. It will match the building to a degree. The Historic Preservation Committee of the City of Milwaukee actually dictated to us how the exterior was going to look. So we didn't get to choose the exterior of that. The City of Milwaukee chose that for us because of the historic nature of the building. And I just would hate to explain it falsely. So I'll try and get a picture of it. And maybe I can have CG Schmidt also, since the ramp seems to be a button or a hot topic, so to speak. We'll see if we can't get that touched on in the construction, and then I'll follow up with the next day at the castle. Any other questions? Do we have a massage therapist and a dentist who still come here? So we do have a massage therapist. She did obviously move out of the fitness center and will be moving back into the wellness center upon completion. Susan Brown is her name. She still is here. I know that I heard this morning about the massage table and what can we do there. So we'll work through that, but there is a masseuse. The dentist right now obviously is not able to have his dental office on the 4th floor. And so he's taken all of his equipment back to his office in, where is it? Plymouth, Wisconsin. So they picked it all up, and we were working with them to see what is going to best meet the needs of both them as well as you as residents. Now we do have mobile dentist services that we have contracted with through the health center, and so we're exploring that option, and basically it's a mobile dentist that comes on site that you could get your services provided to. So right now we do not have the dentist. Right now we do have the massage therapist, but we are working through how she's performing that service. The services is being performed out of the clinic space right now, where also the podiatrist is and was this week. So, Dave.
The workshop is available for dentistry.
The workshop, Dave, is very, very nicely. Are you the dentist as well, then? Or no? Oh, okay. Dave has so generously offered up the wood shop, which if you haven't seen the workshop and wood shop that Dave Woodard and Barry Sammons have put together, go down and see it. It is a fully functioning and incredibly talented individuals are working down there. You do have to sign a risk agreement. That is the only caveat, but again, kudos to Dave and Barry for their work down there. Thank you so much. But I guess we might hold on the dentist piece down there and stick to wood, but hopefully nobody's got the wood teeth. Any other questions about that? All right, when will the guest rooms be available? We are looking at that after the first of the year. So again, we had the occupancy of City of Milwaukee occupancy. We are looking at putting in the Bradford Terrace area, and we'll be really looking at where we stand after the first of the year, because obviously we need to make sure the water tower assisted living folks got to where they needed to be first before we started reopening some things. So after the first of the year, we'll be looking to get a guest suite back online for everyone. And then the last question is when an unusual event takes place, it would be a relief if we were informed of what was going on. Wi-Fi down, extreme noise, false alarms, etc. So this might be referring to, and I know that this question came up in the resident council this morning, we do not have a PA system. We do not have an overhead PA system for the campus. We never have, in my time here at least, and again, probably since 2006, Teresa, I'm looking at you still. But we do have trained staff, and hopefully you as independent living residents also have your handbook and things of that nature. But just to walk through some of these things, obviously with the Wi-Fi being down, it affects how we're able to email out. So we can't email you, obviously, and you can't get the email if we don't have Wi-Fi. But we do monitor that, and as soon as we are aware that the Wi-Fi is down, we have Joe and Kevin that are on that immediately. Now, I do know that we've had some downtimes, and again, I apologize for that. Joe and I have had extensive conversations. We're working to get a vendor that we currently have on our internet out. We have been for over a month and a half. They haven't been responsive, which is why they're not going to be our vendor moving forward. And we do believe we have a better solution for our Wi-Fi going forward, so that we have less downtime. So, apologize for that, but again, that's more so through the front desk. As far as extreme noise, false alarms, I know that we had a false alarm at the Christmas at the Castle, which we've since resolved with actually physical means. But again, that's where our trained staff can help guide and lead what is supposed to be done. Again, if it's a true fire, we do have Milwaukee Fire Alarm or Milwaukee Alarm Company rather, that monitors the building 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so again, in the event of a fire, we do know that it actually doesn't take a staff member to call 911, nor does it take you. It automatically happens. And so the Milwaukee Fire Department will come right on site. But if you burn toast or you have smoke in your apartment, again, vacate your apartment, go out to your balcony if you have one, or remain as safe as possible. If you have a fire in your apartment, the first thing you do is vacate your apartment. Close the door behind you. They're fire-rated doors, and we have a sprinkler suppression system throughout this entire building. Now that doesn't go to anything about false alarms, right? Those are real ones. False alarms are in testing, again, if we have testing, we let you know about that. False alarms, I don't know what to tell you, they're going to be false, and that we just have to work through those. We are not planning to put in a full PA system. Now with what Stacy's working on through Touchtown, there may be a texting service that we may be able to coordinate for residents to receive a text message down the road that the front desk may be able to send out, false alarm or something of that nature, but that's not the immediate solution. So I guess I don't have a good answer about, the what to do in those types of events. All I can say is that we have a number of systems in place that keep you safe and secure. That in those events, you can feel very confident that you will be and remain safe. Yes, a nuisance, yes, a headache, that will happen, and for that I apologize. But again, there is no plans to do an overhead PA type of announcement system throughout the community. That's actually very, very in the past. A lot of communities have actually moved away from that just because of the impact that it can have on other residents, because oftentimes it's specific to a building. You do an overhead page and it affects everyone and creates some more confusion as opposed to less needed. So, any other questions? Dave?
What happened to the gate to the Bradford parking lot? And is it going to be replaced?
So Eric won't be able to answer that, but I can assure you the gate is back operational. You don't know where it is anymore. It's back on because it got installed at 10:30 this morning. So Jesus and Mike got the parts. We got wrong parts initially, and then the parts finally came. But kudos to Eric, we ordered extras because of the delay. So in the event that the gate goes down, we'll be able to fix it much quicker. But yes, it was unfortunately a lead time issue on the parts. As soon as we got the parts, we got them yesterday, I think, at 1. I saw Michael working on the gate last night, and we had it up this morning with Michael and Jesus. So it is back operational. Kim?
Do you think it's been effective?
So is that going back to the gate question?
Yes.
So the question about the gate, so everybody knows we have that big gate in Bradford Terrace. Yes, and I will knock on wood, since installing the gate, we have not had a theft in our parking lot. Prior to the gate, unfortunately, if you have watched the news, there is unfortunately still a rash of thefts and craziness just going around the city, but it is not impacting our own community. We've also added that second security guard overnight, and I think that's also assisted. So again, great work by Eric and his team to keep our parking lot safe for both our employees and for you as residents. But I do believe, and actually the Catholic home reached out to me and asked about our gate because the problem started happening over there. So, it's unfortunate, and so, I know it's not the most pleasant, but it's effective. So, yes, Dr. Beckler.
I wanted to say something about the Wi-Fi. When the Wi-Fi was down, I was told my phone was no good or my carrier was no good. And that was not true, because when my phone enters a building, it goes on Wi-Fi. And so I just wanted to make that clear. And I was told that's not possible, and it is very possible to have your phone as soon as you come into a building to pick up the Wi-Fi.
So it's interesting because that's a lot of similar conversation we've had with some staff members. So yes, your phone will always pick up a Wi-Fi. But if you have an AT&T, a Verizon, or a T-Mobile, That is a data service that is not that doesn't impact your Wi-Fi capabilities here at East Castle Place to make a phone call. The Wi-Fi, when you enter a building, any building, and you have that saved on your phone as to remember it, your iPhone's always going to pick up the Wi-Fi and reconnect as soon as you enter a building where the Wi-Fi is present. Your phone will still work because you don't have Wi-Fi while you're in your car. That's Sprint, Verizon, or AT&T's data service that's providing you that service. So the Wi-Fi, although shouldn't impact unless you're doing Wi-Fi only calls, which is a whole different thing. But you should, whether you have Wi-Fi or not, as long as you have a Verizon, an AT&T, a T-Mobile, or something of that, as long as you're not in a dead spot in the community, which again, I know there's a ton because again, a beautiful structure like this does come with some of those things, then you'll have those issues where you can't get phone calls. And again, unfortunately, we just need our providers to continue to go through their services. So. I don't know if I answered your question, Dr. Bacalars, but I agree with you. Your Wi-Fi will automatically work when it's working as soon as you walk in the building because it remembers your network.
I just want to say one thing. We have our Spectrum on our own private line. It has never been down since we've been here. Everybody has to down. We still have Spectrum.
That's fantastic because we've been down on Spectrum many times here as a business. So we need to be on your plan, Mrs. Cowell. So if you hear information, you want to help us out because Spectrum has not always been the kindest to us. So kudos to Spectrum for you.
We had AT&T before it was terrible.
Yeah, and I've got AT&T and I've had great luck. So I think some of it is personal, but at the same time, we'll continue to work through those Wi-Fi to mitigate because I do know how important that service is to you. So, and that's the service you pay for and we provide. So, any other questions? All right. If not, I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay DeGute. Thank you, everybody. See everybody tomorrow.
Thank you, Tyler. Good afternoon. So, brief update this afternoon on COVID-19 as well as just general health center information. Right now, we do not have any COVID in-house, which is fantastic because if you've watched the news recently, it has been a significant increase nationwide as well as at our home here in Milwaukee County. So the hospitals are full. With general illness, but illnesses related to flu season, RSV, and COVID-like symptoms. So right now we kind of have that trifecta going on of communicable illness that you can get from other people. That being said, we are still monitoring our staff very closely. We encourage you to go get yourself tested if you are sick or have some tests in your apartment. I was just at the CVS on Downer Ave yesterday, and they do have those 2-pack Binax Now COVID-19 tests. I recommend that you do get those, as they are always good to have, especially with holiday gatherings, like New Year's Eve, like family gatherings, because again, we all know, for the most part, we all are together here, but it's when we go out into the community, it's when we see our loved ones, a grandkid home from college, along those lines. Just encouraging people to get tested. And then from a flu perspective, since it is the season for that as well, it is up double in Milwaukee right now too. So highly, highly, highly please wash your hands. I was just talking to Eric today and Ian about increased surface cleaning for our handrails, as well as the elevators, door handles, so that when we are touching those, and it's so easy to itch your eyes because this weather, it's just been bizarre, that allergies are bad too, so we can just not win right now with the weather, it appears. But again, hand washing is your first line of defense, as well as, if you do feel comfortable wearing a mask in public areas, I do recommend it. Again, it is not required, and it's at your discretion. We wore them long enough, I do agree, but they are a good, safe defense mechanism. So That is what I have for COVID. And then from a health center perspective, we have a new nurse manager in the health center. So if any of you have ever been up to the 4th floor for a blood pressure check or over the course of time, if you know Jima Vargas, she is a 4th floor nurse who's been here 12 years. So she is now the nurse manager starting Monday. So if you see her, she is very quick around the halls. Please congratulate her. Otherwise, we'll get an introduction of her soon if you have not, or stop up to the 4th floor because her office will also be up there. Any questions for me that I can answer? Yes, Dr. Gush.
I think I had RSV. And are you taking any, are you monitoring that at all?
We are monitoring. So the question was talking about RSV and how we think we've had it. And how are we monitoring it? We are. You can get tested for it too. So when you go to a clinic right now and swab for the flu, they also swab for RSV and COVID, all in the same swipe. So when you get, you may not have COVID, but you could have RSV, but you may not have the flu, and we are monitoring it. We have had one resident about a month and a half ago, early on, who did test positive for it on the later end. So it is interesting. That resident has recovered and is doing well, and that was when it was newer, interestingly enough. So we didn't quite get that information right away because the hospitals weren't testing for it necessarily. So it is going around. It is, it's like a cold, a very bad cold for many people. Obviously, it can impact you more severe or less, which is very similar to the flu. With RSV, though, they do recommend an 8-day isolation because you can be contagious, is what I have learned, for up to 8 days. So we would want, recommend you remain in your room for 8 days if you would test positive for that. We do not have RSV testing capabilities on site, unfortunately. It's very similar to the symptoms that you would read. And I myself, even reading about it, I had a pretty bad cold early on, and I'm like, could this be it as well? But again, as always, please be aware of your symptoms. Don't go in a group setting if you have a bad cough. Talk to Teresa, don't go to the dining room and in order to mitigate that to spread further. Yeah.
I just heard you can get through the internet free COVID tests.
That is correct.
In-home tests.
So the statement was you can get free COVID in-home tests right now online. And actually, Jen just sent me that information right before this meeting. And we can post that for you or put it in a memo of how to apply for that. It's very easy. I'm pretty sure it's just through Milwaukee County's website.
I just did it sitting in here. So there's a web link. It's 4 free tests per each household. And I just had to put in my first and last name and my address and click send, and boom, it's going to be delivered to our house. So
They're free at CVS. If you show your Medicare card, your ID, you get two packs of the COVID test right on the spot.
Wow.
No line, nothing like go.
So the statement was about COVID tests and that you can get them through Milwaukee County, 4 per household for free. And you can apply for that online, or as Sandra mentioned, at CVS, if you show your Medicare card to the pharmacist, I assume, they will give you 2 boxes of the Binax Now test. And they are in stock, and I highly recommend, while the weather is not ideal, it's not terribly snowy out yet, it would be a good little outing to stop there and get some tests, because they are very easy to have at this time of the year.
Do they have an expiration date? These tests?
So the question was if COVID tests have expiration dates. They do. So, and I have my own opinions on that, but no, I won't go into that. But with these COVID test expiration dates, the ones that are on the Binax Abbott test have been extended. beyond their expiration date. So I think they're good for up to 90 days thereafter, able to be used. And my rule of thumb with that too, based on what I have read, is that all COVID tests with their expiration dates, you can use them for 90 days after for an accurate result. Good question. Carol.
For the health clinic for independence, will there be an orientation as to how it's used, or is it now available?
So the question was for the health clinic for independent residents. Will there be an orientation of how it's being used and occupied? And the answer is yes. I actually just met with Tyler at 11 o'clock today, and we were going over that, and we had a nice discussion in the healthcare committee today from both board members and Mr. Hoffman about that and what that will entail. But our goal is to get a nice presentable sheet to you all, or a postcard of sorts, that will go over what services will be provided in there, in the health clinic, that is.
Thank you.
So that will be forthcoming, I would say early January.
Okay.
Dr. Deckrush.
I'd just like to say something about the RSV. I got exposed to it on my way home, the day after Thanksgiving. Okay, so that was the 25th. And I did not, well, I went right to my room, and that's when I started feeling sick. So I started feeling sick about November 27th. I first came out of my room on Monday. Now that's a lot more than 8 days.
Absolutely.
I
So,
could not, and I've used 5 boxes of cleaning so far. So that, I ordered, I don't know what you call it. I ordered it from Amazon, and it was for fixing women's face. Yeah, that's what it was for, but it blew air, hot air into I just sat there and just breathed it in. I've never had anything like this before, ever, as far as the seriousness of my lungs. I was talking to my doctor daily, and you know, they suggested I go to get it tested but I wasn't gonna, I couldn't drive myself. So I just stayed in the room and suffered.
So we were talking about the symptoms and the extended symptoms that prolong with RSV, and you know, it can take a serious toll on your body, as many of the hospitalizations are in an elderly population or with children right now. That's how severe it is. You know, and 8 days is just the CDC's recommendation for isolation. But again, if you are sick on day 9, you know, please let us know. You know, please don't go to dinner and so on, you know, because everyone's body can react differently, very similar to how COVID works, the flu works, as well as RSV or any, you know, communicable disease that we are able to get from each other. So, and again, when people are very sick, please let us know. You know, Teresa will stop by. We can bring extra fluids, you know, Gatorades. We can help deliver meals, certain more bland meals and so on, rather than, obviously, you wouldn't want a prime rib, so to speak, when you're ill. But thank you for sharing that.
Well, you have no appetite.
No, you
I'll
don't.
tell you that I lost 6 pounds.
Maybe I need the flu. Just kidding. Just kidding. But no, I'm glad you're better. But again, anyone, please monitor your symptoms and let us know early. Because again, there is a Tamiflu shortage nationwide right now. And if any of you are not familiar what Tamiflu is, that is when you test positive for the flu or you are in close corridors with people of the flu-like illness, and it can help prophylactically treat it, and your doctor can give you a shot of it. So I would recommend just double checking with your doctor's office that they are fully stocked with Tamiflu or CVS, because it's a wonderful drug out there that is able to help mitigate those lasting effects Unfortunately, they don't quite have the silver, bullet for RSV and how to help prophylactically treat that, but especially flu-like symptoms right now. Keep in touch with your doctor. Yeah, Kathy.
When you say, if you're, still sick, so on forth, call us. Who is the us to call?
The us is Teresa Jenkins through the front desk. Teresa, you want to give us a wave?
Nobody knows me.
But we should.
Any other questions? Yes.
Is there a way we could get tests for the RSV? Or?
They do not supply them. They are processed through, they do not supply them for outpatient, which is what we would be considered through a lab perspective. So they need to be run through I'd say an established lab like an ACL, a Columbia St. Mary's, and so on. We do not have the capabilities, or there are no in-house rapid tests that we are subject to with some flu and COVID that we have the capabilities of right now. Perhaps next year. Science is moving quick right now, but at this time, no. You must go out to your local CVS or Columbia St. Mary's for an RSV test.
Urgent care will do it.
Urgent care will do that, yes. All right, any other questions? Otherwise, I will pass it on over to Eric, and I hope you all have a happy holidays.
Thank you. You're welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll start with the questions that were submitted. First is, if elevator D is ever down and being repaired, how can a person who may be in a wheelchair or unable to maneuver stairs get into the ground level, especially with the water tower elevators now being closed? That's a fair point. That was kind of our plan B. Well, the ramp will be the new one, but it's a difficult thing because it is an independent building, and so there aren't a lot of opportunities for wheelchairs, walkers, things like that. So in discussion with Tyler, the simple version is if you really truly need access while the elevator's down, call the front desk. We would work with you to be able to go up a few stairs, excuse me. The idea is if you're in historic, it's only about 4 to 5 steps up to the contemporary building, in which case we get you down the C elevator. We would obviously assist in that process. If it's something that's beyond our capability or you don't feel safe with, at that point we're going to do what any other independent living community would do, and we would call an EMT service to come out and help assist. Again, once water tower's back up, that problem will mitigate itself. Next question is, I'd like to see the garage cleaned of all the leaves. This fair point. We just finished cleaning up the outside about 2 weeks ago. We'll be circling back on the leaves in the garage. It was a bit of a futile effort, even though we did clean the garage entrance of leaves. A day later, they'd blow right back in, and much like they did the property, and we had to do it a couple times. So we'll be taking care of that yet this week, and we'll have that cleaned up. Last question is, please explain the compost situation. It's aggravating to go down with a load of compost, not be able to dispose of it. Just to be clear, we did communicate that last State of the Castle that the compost program is temporarily suspended until spring when we get a chance to reevaluate it. And then I believe also Tyler did send out a memo in relation to that compost suspension. A couple other updates. I just want to thank everyone for being patient and understanding of us coming in and doing a preseason check on your furnaces or air handlers. I appreciate, especially historic, you got to make a little extra room for us in your closets. Thank you very much. My other question, Mr. Woodard already answered, was the gate was repaired this morning. So the difficulty there is there's what's called a shear point. So if someone does hit it, it doesn't rip the entire motor and station out of the ground. So it's meant to snap at a certain point. And that point it's meant to snap at, we're finding gets stressed by the wind. So from the wind working on it, it just racks the gate back and forth enough that over a period of time it may break or rip that piece of aluminum. So that's why I told Tyler I think we order 3 of them, 1 to repair and then 2 on the shelf, so that if it happens again, there is no downtime, because I don't like the exposure of us not having it up, because it's proven itself to be a useful tool for security. I do want to give the third shift gentlemen that you don't see too often, Garland, Nick, and Lee, a little bit of kudos, because I do know they had to shag a few people off the lot that didn't look like they belonged there. during that time. So they did a really nice job. Well, we didn't have any incidents. There was nothing to report. I want to give them kudos for doing extra rounds in the lot as they were instructed with the gate being down. And I know they're more happy than anyone else to see the gate go back up. And then last, just a reminder about the snow. This is actually, oddly enough, the time of year that I'm most concerned, similar to like April. When we have big, heavy snowfalls and it's January, I'm a little less concerned because people have been prepared for snow, and it's typically cold right off the bat. This is when I'm especially concerned because we get a mix of rain and sleet, and that's when it freezes at night, and that becomes that black ice situation that you cannot see. So I just encourage you to wear the right footwear, be careful. As an example, we're expecting some sort of precipitation tomorrow, so we will be out salting today. So we do a lot of pre-salting before those things occur, so we're prepared. We're not waiting until it snows. So that's all I have. Any questions? Oh, a couple. Start in the back.
Relating to the noise that comes from the gazebo area during the heating season, could you make a few comments about the fan motor replacement that's scheduled?
Yeah, we talked a little earlier. The noise that's going on over here in the gazebo courtyard, we had some discussions on it. We're going to replace 3 of the fans to see if we can continue to quiet it down to kind of the manufactured specification. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver and tell you it'll be quiet. I'm going to get it back to wherever that specification is for the fan units. I do know we have one motor of the 6 that's down, and 2 other ones I got suspicions they're getting a little older. So we're going to replace 3 of the 6 and see if we can quiet it to where it should be. But we're anticipating ordering those soon here. But when we get them is kind of the question. So we did discuss spring probably is the most realistic out point. I would say probably sometime in March. But if I do get them early, I'll make sure to make everyone aware. I had one here first.
I had a question about snow plowing and salting.
Yes.
Does that sidewalk along the gazebo from that back door to the gate, I like to use that as a shortcut when I go down Downer. That wasn't, the last time we had that slushy snow last weekend, that was really treacherous.
Mm-hmm.
Does that normally get salted and shoveled?
I'm thankful that you said something. Yes, it should be. Yeah, typically the way it works is there's a team of 2, sometimes we throw a third, but a team of 2 usually in an AM and a PM situation. One guy works the parking lots and the skid loader, and the other guy is going to work the sidewalks with the John Deere, and then they work the internal sidewalks, all in the same cleanup, if you will, and it should be salted. So if you do see that and someone just makes a mistake because there is one new guy on the team this year, please make me aware so I can take care of that. And we did put the salt bins out at the entrances and such, so there is some salt available. Thank you. Yes, Ms. Beer.
How does one know if one's filter has been changed in the furnace?
I would say just with our last walkthrough, which would have been about 2 weeks ago now, we would have changed it. We changed them all and then we dated them.
So they'll come in if you're not there in June.
Already been done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Next presenter here is Mike Brewer. And we did not coordinate our outfits today.
Sorry, Mike. We'll have to talk ahead of time next time. I've arranged to have dinner brought in for all of you. Around 5 o'clock it'll be coming. I actually really just have a couple of things to talk to you about today. One of them, though, is a personal favor to me. About 1.5 years ago, one of your neighbors approached me saying that they had some old family silver, silver cookingware and serving platters, and they wanted to divest them. And did I know somewhere that they could go to potentially sell them? And I was able to hook them up with someone that I believe they were satisfied with. About 6 weeks ago, someone else approached me for the same reason, but I'd forgotten who my referral was. It took me a while to recreate that thought process. I now know who the referral should be, but I cannot remember who I should provide this referral to. So if any of you know of someone who's looking for right over there. Okay.
That's a referral.
Antique Cupboard. They are in Big Bend. They actually do it online, by the way. You can drive out there or you can describe it online and they'll tell you. So was it you or is this a coincidence?
And I've been there. They're very honest and very good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take all the credit for that. There you go. All right. Okay. So thank you very much. Second of all, on an update, I know the end of the year is quickly approaching. All of you have been very generous donors to East Castle Place this year, either through the Employee Appreciation Fund or the Ukrainian Collection or the Urban Ecology Center, or any one of a variety of ways. You all want to know when you're going to be getting your tax letters. The IRS requires me to have your tax letters in your hands by January 31st. My goal is to have them in all of your hands by January 15th. So, I'll be coming back from the holidays on Tuesday, January 3rd. I'm not going to have it that day for you. It'll be, a couple of weeks after that. But hopefully by January 15th, all of you will have your tax letters. If there's really a sense of urgency, maybe you're a snowbird and you're leaving and you want your letter, please let me know. I can accommodate, if that's a situation, and I will do so. I do want to thank Joanne Kauth. She just did a absolutely fabulous job on the Employee Appreciation Fund collection this year. I also want to thank all of you. We actually had 72 donors this year, which is an incredible number of you and your neighbors that participated in this. I know if you looked at Joanne's letter yesterday that came out, she revealed that we raised a little bit over $63,000, and last year we raised $68,000. But the holiday bonus to all of our staff was within $18 of what it was last year, which for my purposes I'd say is just about identical. How can that be? Well, absolutely. Fewer portions were given out. For a full-time employee to get the full benefit of the bonus, you have to work here for a full 12 months. If you leave during the course of the year, your replacement doesn't get a full bonus. If we have a part-time employee who leaves our employee in August and someone else is hired in September, they don't get a full part-time share either. That's how it turned out. The bonus was just about identical, even though the collection was down a little bit. My thanks to all of you. I know the people who received this, all the hourly employees, they truly, truly appreciate it. I know they're hard at work on a video right now that you will see sometime in January, thanking you all, and you have my thanks as well. It was just a wonderful, wonderful effort. Many of you have already received the wrap-up on Christmas at the Castle, but for those of you who did not, again, I'd like to thank you all. I would venture a guess that as many as half of you, half of all the residents here at East Castle Place volunteered in some capacity in one way, shape, or another. Either ahead of time getting us ready, working the sale, maybe you were in the choir, maybe you donated items for the silent auction. It truly is a community spirit, and I'm grateful to all of you. We raised a little bit over $1,500 this year. Of the $1,500, about $875 of that is going to be going for scholarships. Just an enormous amount of money, and we're very, very grateful. Most of the rest of it is going to be going to community life to fund things for Stacy's department. So all of these things go right back into helping the community. So you have my sincere thanks. And I hope you have a great holiday season as a result of it. As long as we're talking about scholarships, you all know that in September we issued, I believe it was 10 scholarships, and funded them in September for student employees. We held over 3 until January because they had not worked for East Castle for the requisite 6 months in order to qualify for a scholarship. I've reached out to the 3 that were held over till January. All 3 are still in our employ and have excellent reviews from their supervisors. One of them has already provided all the information that we need to award the scholarship to issue the check. 2 of them are still working on all the information, but it's been a very, very successful scholarship year. My thanks to all of you, and all of the student employees will benefit greatly as a result of that. The last thing that I have, I talk about it many, many times. We try to make giving as easy as possible around here. One of the ways you can do so is through Amazon Smile. If you are a shopper of Amazon, you can click in when you access Amazon, and it will automatically authorize 0.5% of your purchase as a charitable contribution to East Castle Place. If you don't know how to do that, ask me to send you an email. At the bottom of my email signature is the Amazon Smile link. All you have to do is click on that and then just do the registration. Believe it or not, you have to spend at least $1,000 for East Castle to get any money in a quarter. The last 5 quarters, we've actually gotten a contribution from Amazon Smile. My thanks to all of you. It costs you nothing extra to do it. All you have to do is register. Have your family, have your friends do it. It's extremely powerful money because it's completely dedicated to nothing. It goes to what is our greatest need. And that's the most powerful charitable money of all. So it's simple, it's easy. If you're interested and you don't know how to do it, ask me to send you an email. Click on the link at the bottom of my email signature, and from that point on, every time you go to Amazon, you'll be donating to East Castle Place. Anything else I can answer for you? Does anybody have any questions or comments about philanthropy? Well, on behalf of myself, on behalf of Tyler, and on behalf of the entire management team, we wish you all a very, very happy, safe, and healthy holiday season. And it is our fondest wish that you all get to spend it with family and friends that you love. So thank you very much.